Okay, I'd like to call the City Council meeting Tuesday, June 9th at 6 p.m. Call to order. Do we have a decorum, Dina?
Yes, ma'am, we have a quorum.
Okay, time is 6:01. Would Mark Winkler, Executive Pastor with Trinity Bible Church, please come forward?
Pray first. Let's pray. Father, we come before you, and we're thankful for the rain you've given us this year. And Father, we're thankful for the sun that you've given us. It just reminds us that you're in control of all things. Father, I pray that as we meet and we talk about things that matter, that you help us to be good stewards of the things that you've given us, from money to resources to land. Father, that you help us to honor you with what we say and what we do, and most importantly, that we would love you more today than we did yesterday, and that we would love you more tomorrow than we do today. Father, I pray that you help us to be obedient to your word. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much.
Good save, Tim.
Okay, Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Thank you very much. Okay, we have some public comments. First, we have Lee Miller. You speak real loud into it.
I'm 105 Willow Crest. I'm a longtime Willow Park resident. I want to address communication and feeling safe in Willow Park. For years, my family was very involved in the city with...
Lee, hold on just a second. No wonder I couldn't hear you. Try that again. Start over. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Todd, can you restart the time?
Thank
On
you.
that one, please.
I'm a longtime Willow Park resident. I want to address communication and feeling safe in Willow Park. For years, my family was very involved in the city with attending meetings, socializing, volunteering. Communication, I felt, was very open till about 8 years ago. I love my neighborhood and have the best neighbors. About 3.5 years ago, though, things definitely changed. I got a bizarre voicemail from a neighbor I didn't know. In the voicemail, the neighbor went on and on over a completely hypothetical scenario that she admitted she made up, involving me and my dogs sitting in my driveway. She said my dogs were harassing her and her husband by being in my driveway, and I'd better return their call or they may have to call the city on me. I called them and assured the woman dogs were harmless and tethered. She made it clear she could and would call the city on me if she felt like it, and they would go into action against me at her request. I honestly was in shock at the boldness and threatening and harassing language and the comfort with which she represented herself as an extension of the city. I laughed it off because it was so ludicrous that this person would threaten me in a non-HOA neighborhood for literally being on my property. I wasn't laughing for long when neighbors began to come out of the woodwork with their own stories of harassment from the same couple, always with the emphasis on their pull with the city and threats to call the city or call the police on you. Most were the same story, threats about people's animals, always hypothetical situations with made-up scenarios. Also, they would threaten to call about code violations, and in many cases, they did just call anyway. I learned the husband of the duo was on a committee for the city. I should have spoke up at the time, but didn't want to make trouble as I thought it might get better. It didn't, and my feelings of being uneasy and unsafe began to grow. When Mayor Palmer got into office, the female of the duo greatly ramped up her rhetoric against the mayor and citizens having a say in general. She rallied against home rule, made up hypothetical situations, and tried to argue that the mayor hadn't even really won, as not enough people had voted in her opinion. She leaned in heavily to alignment with the city council, especially a new member. This member had previously bullied my friend online when friend asked about an appropriate question about early voting on the city's Facebook page. Same member also had been talking about citizens at personal poker games in Fort Worth, and specifically about my longtime friend and neighbor. This friend had never met the councilman in her life, didn't even know his name, and didn't appreciate what he was doing. It made her feel unsafe to know this was happening by a Willow Park City councilman. He'd approached another friend in his personal vehicle at one point and presented himself as enforcing something. I recently learned he was going around asking detailed, unnecessary specifics about me. This makes me feel completely uncomfortable and straight up unsafe in my own town by a person that is supposed to be there for citizens to support them, not gossip about them, investigate them, or weaponize fellow committee members to monitor and police citizens in their homes. These are just small examples of what myself and fellow citizens have observed with our city government trying to control citizens and who gets a say and who gets silenced. There are many other disturbing examples, including former city council members threatening on social media to go after citizens legally for reasons he has come up with. The point is, we citizens that are not connected to the city have rights and a say also. We want to feel safe and heard. Mayor Palmer is the only one that has really listened to me and my questions and answered or tried to find an answer if she didn't know it. She is really trying to give us citizens, us regular citizens, a voice. And she and the citizens who are constituents, by the way, have been treated and talked to shockingly disrespectful. She deserves to be treated better and more professional as well as we do. Stop answering her in a hateful, condescending manner when she asks real questions that deserve an answer. And to the person nosing around citizens' personal lives and sticking your toadies on us, call them off and keep our names out of your mouth. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we have Bill Green.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I'm Bill Green. I live at 224 Vista Drive, Fort Park. Been here over 40 years, seen a lot of councils and a lot of things going on. And sorry I missed the last meeting whenever you guys got sworn in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Glad to see y'all sitting there. Now I have more people to go at. So anyway, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Now, the only reason I'm up here today is a few things I wanted to clear up that I didn't get to come the last meeting because of grandson's birthday. It took precedence for sure. But, and I'm going to mention one council member's name. Scott and I had a conversation back before the election on Vista Drive where I live as far as semis and rock haulers and cement mixers and everything going up and down the street, tearing up the street, which they're doing. And he informed me that that was a right-of-way, and we can't stop them from doing it. The former city manager, when I talked to him, he said, hey, you get me the signs that are on the trucks and I'll stop them because they're not supposed to be there. Well, and he did his job on that. No matter what you think on anything else on him, he did his job on that. Now, here's something right out of Parker County and right out of the city of Willow Park. Yes, Vista Drive in Willow Park, Texas is a residential street. It is made up of single-family homes, sprawling lots, and established neighborhoods like Laguna Vista Estates and Buena Vista. So I just wanted to inform you this, and this is out of 14.06.004 of the zoning thing, so if you want to look it up to see. So anyhow, we can get some help from y'all because he was able to stop it before whenever, and they're not going any place in Willow Park. They're going to White Settlement Road, and they're going down to Pearson Ranch, or they're going down to one of the other ranches down there doing their hauling. So they're messing up our streets to get to something else down there. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about real quick is the priorities from the new council members. You know, during the campaign, the guys had a real good platform, and that helped them get elected, I'm sure. And that was Squaw Creek, getting things fixed up there. The roads was number 2. The water situation was number 3, and then in the far back end of it was data centers. And they made some specific promises that they were going to do. And I'm going to remind them of it every time we can because, you know, you 3 new guys, you're now the majority. You can outvote those 2 guys. depending on how it goes. But anyhow, keep that in mind on that. And I'm going to skip one thing here because I don't really need to do it. But there's something that came to my mind on watching things here for a long, long time. The council does a job. But there's 3 or 4 other people in the city of Willow Park that actually run City Hall and run the council. And I get this from seeing things that are happening where a question would be asked and needed an answer, and all of a sudden some of the guys go to their phones before they answer. Also, right after the election, came out, several people on this group that I'm talking about, one of them came out and called us the bad guys because we didn't vote for them, and I didn't vote for them, and they know that, and they know my reasons why. Anyhow, come out and called us the bad guys, and then called us a cult. You need to look up what a cult says it is, and you'll find out who the bad guys are. Not us, not you guys, but these guys. They also threatened to sue people that voted the other way around. And all of this was posted. They posted it right out there where you could see it. Did they try to take them down? Yeah. But in my saying, I said the Constitution, they don't believe in the Constitution and right to vote as you see fit. And you can figure out who these guys are just by watching things coming and going here. Now, the last thing I want to do, I'm going to fall back to being a pastor. I want to quote something here. It's out of Matthew 22, 37 through 40. What is the greatest commandment? Number 1, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all of your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments all the law, follow the law and the prophets.
I guess it's
When you're
time.
loving yourself and loving, I know.
I know.
You guys are duly elected. She's duly elected. Think about how y'all have been treating her. Think about how City Hall's been treating her. She got duly elected. These guys got duly elected. She's serving the job. These guys are serving the job. And they need to get a cohesiveness going here.
Thank you.
It won't hurt anybody.
Thank
you.
Okay, next we have Patty Khmer. Hi.
Patty Kameyer, for those of you who were not here last time. I'm a realtor who have had experiences in California, the Sacramento, San Francisco area in the 70s and 80s, and in South Lake, Keller area in the 90s. Both were areas that experienced explosive growth. And so I was here last time and talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly, of what I've seen about different entities and how they've approached the growth and how, looking back years later, what a difference it made. People had questions, so I came back to answer those. Now, I am not anti-growth. I think growth is good. We're going to get it. We just got to be prepared for it. And all of East Parker County needs to be working together, all of the little entities, because developers, all they see is a piece of dirt and a dot on a map. They are not here because they care about our community. They are like used car salesmen. They're here to make a profit. Because I've worked with them in California, and I can tell you that for sure, because they're looking for people who are divided. So my whole message is get together, guys, be unified, and look at these projects and make sure that they make sense, because this is our home. And with the developers who come in, what you need to ask them is, if this is such a great idea for our city, how many have you built in your city? Why aren't you giving this great opportunity to your municipality? Do you just not want it in your backyard? Is that why you're putting it out here? So just giving you a heads up about that. And again, I talked about the bad, which was Vallejo and Benicia, which had all of these beautiful hills covered with tract houses. I talked about the good, which was Vacaville, Fairfield, Sassoon, which preserved these beautiful hills as you're going across the Vaca Valley and coming into these hills heading to San Francisco. They have preserved those hills since the 1970s. They have had developers coming in to go to each of the entities, because they all have jurisdiction over some of these hills, And each one of them, because they were a unit, they were bound together, they had a vision, they said, we're going to preserve these hills. But I want to talk a little bit, somebody said they didn't hear what the ugly was. This is the beautiful little town that was at the end of the Bay Bridge when everything started exploding in the 1970s. And suddenly the Bay Bridge became a real choke point like out here on Interstate 20. So they started building these huge apartment complexes that said, if you lived here, you'd be home now. Well, the name of that city is Oakland, California. And everything you've heard about it, let me tell you, it is much worse than that. These huge apartment complexes have turned into tenements. They are no-go zones. For some of them are no-go zones because the police officers will not go in there because of the drugs, gangs, and prostitution. So when you're looking at apartment complexes for this area, please be wise. Wait until they are needed. Don't just start throwing up willy-nilly, because even though we're going to have a college, do you know that 54% of all of the students take courses online? And that huge change in just the perception of a college degree right now. In the last 10 years, it has gone from 35% of people who say that college degrees is not necessary to recently it was 62% say college degrees are not necessary. When you're looking at AI, why do you need a college degree? So the years of Otto, Bluto, and Animal House are probably not going to come out here to Parker County. So let's just wait until we need apartment complexes and we see most people are either distance learners or they travel in. We may not need all these apartment complexes because of all the students that are going to come to this UTA. So just think it through, just be aware of what you're doing, and just think about what do you want in your backyard. So that was just my concern. And again, when looking at Texas, the good was South Lake, with South Lake Town Center having the number 9th municipal tax area in the whole state of Texas, with no apartments, not a single big apartment complex. There's a huge, somebody said, well, is that apartments right next door to it? Those are condos. And do you know what the condo in the very end sold for when it was first new? Almost $1 million for a condo. Keller, they were the bad. They had their apartments out there by 35, and now their school district is suffering from it. Now, do we want Parker County to be the good, or do we want Parker County to be ugly? Please be aware. You guys are our guardians. You guys are the gatekeepers. So just be aware of what you're voting on it, and do not be afraid to say no to a developer. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Patty. Okay, next we have Tandy Blackstock.
Thank you, Mayor Palmer, council, and the citizens for the opportunity to speak tonight. Boy, has our little city grown. It's experiencing growing pains in more ways than one. First, congratulations to the newly elected council members.
Thank you.
Your excitement and pride during the swearing-in ceremony were obvious for everyone to see, so congratulations.
Thank you.
While I respect the voting process and the outcome of the election, I can't help but question the morals and values that were displayed throughout the campaign. Residents deserve to know that they were given false information about the challengers. A specific purpose campaign committee called Citizens for Willow Park's Future was formed. This committee mailed flyers and provided false and misleading information to local newspapers and social media platforms, where it spread like wildfire. The residents of Willow Park were lied to on several issues by this SPAC committee. I have a great deal of respect for the challengers, Roy, Houston, and Marcy, for sticking to the facts and running a clean campaign. It was eye-opening to review the public records and see who was involved with the Citizens for Willow Park's Future. Former Mayor Dole Moss organized the committee, and he and Linda Moss donated money to it. Catherine Davis served as the treasurer. Robert and Shelley Bell, who are developers that live in Colleyville and own Bell Dean Ranch, donated funds. Developers Lang and Mei Feng Liu donated money. Jeffrey and Leah Young donated money as well. Leah is a former city council member. And it was very interesting to me to see, I believe it's number 13 on the agenda, that it includes consideration of naming a park after Leah Young. Former Mayor Richard Neverdowski and Cynthia Neverdowski also donated funds. Sally Blair, a Willow Park resident who participated in spreading false information on social media, donated money as well. It is sad, it's truly sad, that these individuals chose to use underhanded and deceitful tactics to help boost the council. Many of these folks, and you publicly, identify as Christian men and women. What this SPAC did was not Christ-like. What's even more disappointing is that not one of you spoke up. Not one of you set the record straight. By remaining silent and by liking and hearting negative social media posts and tabloid-style newspaper articles, it sent a clear message that you condone and agree with their actions that you supported. Those actions reflect your morals and values and character, and they raise legitimate questions about your integrity. Now that you have these seats, will you make good decisions and represent all citizens, whether they voted for you or not? That's the question many residents are asking. Mayor Palmer has been criticized for not endorsing the incumbents, but why would she endorse a council that has never fully supported or embraced her as a mayor? Many people have noticed the lack of respect shown towards her during meetings, whether it's the tone of voice used when speaking to her, talking over her, or dismissing opinions. At times, the behavior has come across more like a group of bullies rather than professional governing body. That type of behavior is known as mobbing. If you're not familiar with mobbing, look up the definition because I'm running out of time. Lastly, Mayor Palmer, thank you for everything you do for our community. So many of us appreciate the roads that have been repaired, and we thank you always for putting the citizens first. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to thank Scott Smith for the Councilman with Coffee, and I've got a whole paragraph on that if anybody wants to hear it.
Okay, next, consent agenda. All items listed below are considered routine or housekeeping. The City Council will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussions of items unless a council member requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of the business and considered in its normal sequence. Approval of the consent agenda authorizes the city manager to implement each item in accordance with staff recommendation. Item 2 is to approve the regular city council meeting minutes from May 12, 2026. Has the council reviewed, and is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes from May 12th, 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we've moved the items. We are moving 3 to 5. We're going next to 5. So for discussion, to receive a presentation regarding our contract with Base Management, DBA, Republic Services, LLC. Who's presenting this item?
Sterling Aaron from the City of Hudson Oaks will be presenting, as well as Jerry Harwell from Republic Services.
Okay. That's Sterling.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having us. Just wanted to, Tony had reached out and said that there was some discussion on the solid waste contract that we have with Republic and kind of where we're at and where we've been to that to get us to this point. So I kind of wanted to go through a little bit. I know there's some new council members and some of you guys weren't involved when all that was going on. I want to take you back a little bit to give you a little bit of history on what happened and what got us to where we are today and then what it looks like going forward. So this contract is considered, in all intents and purposes, from a Republic standpoint, as a 6-city contract. So that means it includes 6 cities in Parker County, as you can see there: Aledo, Annetta North, Annetta South, Hudson Oaks, and then Willow Park as well. So back in 2016 is when this contract kind of came together. Obviously, if you're any kind of business, you understand the buying power of the more you have, the better rate you get and whatever you're buying. And that's no different in the solid waste or trash world. So the cities came together in 2016 to come together and say, hey, can we collectively work with one provider in Parker County to lower all of our rates so that we're all not paying higher rates or have different trash companies running all over the county. So in 2016, that happened. I will say in 2016, the 6-city contract, while it remained a 6-city contract, at the last minute, Aledo decided they did not want to be a part of that. And thought that they could go on and get better rates on their own. Therefore, the 5 cities, excluding Aledo, stayed within that conglomerate and it entered into a contract. Shortly thereafter, Aledo realized, after they went out to RFP and started talking to some companies, they could not get a better rate than what was negotiated within that contract. Therefore, Republic was gracious enough to allow them to piggyback off of that contract and keep those rates. However, they weren't privy to some of the other things that were negotiated within that contract. The issue was, at that point in time, there were 2 separate contracts. So in the trash world, there's 2 things. There's collection and disposal, right? So your collection is what you see. That's the trash truck driving down the street, collecting your solid waste. And then you have the disposal part. That's where you don't see, where they're putting that in the landfill and what that looks like. The problem was, at that point in time, Republic could do the collection for all the cities. Waste Management could do the disposal. The reason was because Waste Management had a transfer station. If you're familiar with the transfer station, it's basically a middleman, whereas the garbage truck that you see coming down your street that gets your solid waste, then takes it to a transfer station, dumps that solid waste, and then continues on with additional routes. And then an 18-wheeler would come to that transfer station, load up bulk solid waste, and then take it to a landfill, wherever that may be. So there were actually 2 contracts. There was one with Republic for the collection, and then one with Waste Management for the disposal. So at that point in time, there was a 5-year contract at that time. In 2021, we came in and looked at it and said, hey, the problem with these 2 contracts, it's great having 2 contracts. The problem was they didn't marry up on their expiration date. So the Republic contract ended at a different time than what the Waste Management contract with. So at some point in time, we run the risk of, as a group, as a whole, of having a contract for collection but not having one for disposal, or vice versa, having one for disposal but not collection. So in 2021, we got together with Republic. The Waste Management contract for disposal actually ended in 2023. So we entered into a short-term contract with Republic that got us to 2023 so that those 2 contracts could come together and marry up with the expiration date. At that point in time, we were saying, okay, then in 2023, it's probably better off for all of us to enter into one contract with one solid waste disposal company that would be both collection and disposal. So that you're whoever that may be, Republic, Waste Management, Waste Connection, whoever that may be, is responsible for both collection and disposal. So in 2023, we got together and said, as a group, again, myself and Rob Watson, who is the Mayor Pro Tem now at Annetta North, who is part of this contract from the very beginning, started those discussions with some large solid waste providers such as Republic and Waste Management, Waste Connections, and at the end of the day, it kind of came down to both Republic and Waste Management to provide those services at the right cost for us. So we started working with the cities to say that, hey, we're going to negotiate those. And then in 2023, we came together and said, after negotiations, this is the route we want to go. Went to all 6 cities, discussed it with their management, and then in April took it to y'all's council. So it's been a minute, but 2023, and I know some of you guys weren't here. 2023, myself and Jerry hobbled up here on a broken leg, but we came to you guys on April 11th of 2023, discussed those 2 contracts, and we needed buy-in from every city. So every city had to go through this and look for approval of that to extend the current contract to get us to what is this point in 2026 with Republic, and then subsequently be ready to go on for the next 5 to 10 years for a long-term solution for our solid waste needs. So we came in April 11th. That was presented before you guys as a council, not necessarily you guys, but your council approved both the short-term extension and then subsequent long-term contract for 5 years with a renewal of additional 5 years, if so pleased. So that leads us to today, right? So that put us from 2023 to 2026. And at this point in time, early on in those negotiations, the solid waste industry has changed. Where you're used to seeing a trash truck drive through and you have a guy jump off the back, load your trash into the back, those days are going away. And that's industry-wide. That's when we both talked to Republic, we talked to Waste Management. That's the way you're going. As you can imagine, it's not the most desirable job to be on the back of a trash truck in 110 degrees in Texas in July. So their turnover ratio is hard to get employees back there. So what they're going into, an automatic load system, which is, you may have seen them in some videos, but basically it's a one driver truck that can pull up. They have an arm on that truck that then reaches out and grabs that bin and then dumps it into their truck and then sets it back down on the service, and they go to the next one. So, right, so you're reducing your staff from 1 to 2 guys at that point in time to service your needs. So we knew this was not going to be, this is change, right? And we understand change. When somebody's done something for a long time, change is difficult. And so we tried to start communicating that back in October of 2025. We got with, if the cities had a public information officer or a communications person, and y'all, it was basically us, Willow Park, and Aledo, and then Annetta just piggybacked off of what we said to try to get one unifying voice of what is going on and what's happening and what to expect. So that is coming to May and where we're at. So I'll tell you a little bit about the existing contract. If you can switch slides, I don't know who's got the slides. Do I have it? So this is a little bit of what the current agreement is in place. So Aledo, when we were going through this, we went back to Aledo and said, hey, we're doing this again. Do you guys want in? At that point in time, they said, yes, we want back in fully. We just don't want to piggyback. We want to be a part of the 6 cities. So they are fully back in. So now the 6 cities contract is actually a 6-city contract. So a couple of highlights of what is included in this. Franchise fees, as you're aware that the Republic will have a franchise on this, meaning they have the sole provider of solid waste services within the city. For that, they are going to rebate back each city 12% of those fees. The intention of that 12% is to go back and cover some of just their normal wear and tear of streets, whatever it may be, to provide that service, and give those communities dollars back to make repairs or ongoing maintenance of whatever streets they deem. That does go back to your general fund as part of our franchise fees for you guys to use however you so please. Municipal facilities, so any municipal facility within the 6 cities is covered under that contract. So the city of Willow Park, your trash here is at no charge as you go on. And then what included in that is 2 cubic yards of bulk pickup. Still with that, obviously it has to be bundled and packaged next to the dumpster, but that's still included. That was a big deal for us. We didn't want to get rid of that. Yeah. And then anything exceeding 2 yards, again, you can get that pickup. You just have to call and schedule a specialized pickup for somebody to come out, and probably 2 guys to probably lift whatever that may be that you're trying to get picked up. And then your events, I think us, you guys, Aledo kind of have some ongoing events throughout the year. Republic provides canisters, dumpsters for those events ongoing. And then I just pointed out, I think everybody here understands Willow Park's days that they're receiving, which is Tuesday and Friday pickup with Tuesday recycling. You can kind of see each community. I put this in there just to highlight the ability to get the cost down, because Republic doesn't have to go, or you're having 3 or 4 different companies coming each week. So as you can see, Aledo, Aneta North, they're all getting picked up on the same days, right? Monday and Thursday, including us, Monday and Thursdays. So it's less overhead, less fixed cost that whoever that provider is would have into providing that service. And then this is kind of what we looked at from a standpoint of rates. You didn't have canisters at the beginning of 2021 when we're looking at this. So this highlights the rates going forward to 2030. And then again, you have an additional 5 years associated with this contract. If we so choose, we can opt out at that point in time, go to a different provider. So it's a long-term 10-year stability for us with the option to buy out potentially at 5 years. So we're currently there in 2026. As you can see, if in 2025, you were paying just $13.99, and then recycling of $5.08 for a total of $19.07. If you chose to have one of their canisters, was an additional $3.15 for a total of $22.22. And then currently now in 2026, all of that is included, that packaged into one for a total rate of $23.21. I'll preface with I'll give my mayor a little kudos. He's been in Hudson Oaks for 30 plus years, and he'll tell you in a world where everything goes up, he is paying less for trash currently than he did 20 years ago when they were on their own. So again, this to me, this highlights, I think I said it back in April of when we presented this, and we partnered with the park, and we appreciate that very dearly, and not only solid waste, but with water and wastewater. And I hope it's a model for Parker County in general, so that we can regionalize a lot of these fixed costs and fixed things that we do as a community to lower the burden of cost for all of us, for all of our taxpayers. I've also got Jerry probably hiding in the back somewhere, but she is with Republic Services. She's their account manager here, so we've worked very diligently, Rob Watson and myself, with Jerry and her team. So any difficult questions, I'll kick her way, but I'm happy to entertain any questions.
I have a couple questions.
Absolutely.
But you can help us with this. I brought this up last time. So just looking at, I'm sure y'all have talked about this long-term from what you're saying, why would we not buy the canisters instead of renting the canisters? That's what I'm not clear on that. Why would we do that?
I'll speak to it. So when you talk about automatic trucks, right? There's specific cans and the sizes that they have to pick up to be able to utilize those trucks. So when we went to the ASL, and you have to ride with ASL, automated side load lever. So when you go to that, a person that has a 10-gallon can, that machine may or may not be able to pick that up. So it's creating uniformity so that we're able to provide a service that can be utilized.
But why would we not buy it one time instead of paying long-term renting it? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So wheels fall off, lids fall off, things happen to the carts. A lot of things can happen to the carts. So we're responsible for maintaining, replacing the carts. So if somebody moves out and somebody moves in and the person before took the carts, we're going to deliver new carts. I'm having to maintain the carts for all of the new people that are coming in, and we're providing the carts. I will tell you that one of the main reasons why we went away from the residents renting the carts from us is because we had a whole lot of people that were renting carts from us that were not paying for the carts. And so we might pull up to a house and they've got 6 carts out there, and we empty all 6 carts. And they're actually only paying for 1 cart.
But that goes through the city, right? So we should be controlling that?
So 2 of the cities billed for additional carts. But that's really hard to keep up with if you don't continually do audits on that. and the other cities did not. So one of the cities that billed for the utilities did not bill for the cart rental. We had to bill that individually, so residents were getting two bills, one for cart, one for service. And then the Anettas do not have the ability to bill their residents, so we bill all of the residents. But we're maintaining the carts. We're delivering the carts. We're taking care of them. Starling is correct on the machinery. It's an arm that goes around the cart, and it looks like it's gently hugging it. It's not. I get on to the people at my house all the time because they're squeezing the life out of my cart. But it gives us the opportunity for better safety and keep trash from blowing all over everywhere. But then everybody's kind of got the same cart. They're getting the same service. Everything just rolls together. And that was a lot of the reason. Safety is the number one thing for our people.
So we're renting the cans because we are getting the maintenance that they definitely need, like a car needs maintenance, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, that helps me. That
Yes,
makes sense.
absolutely.
Okay.
I'm taking care of the carts. If somebody calls the city and says, hey, my cart was stolen, that happened today in Grapevine. Somebody came by and stole like 6 houses worth of carts. I don't know, maybe there's a flea market somewhere, but.
We need to write our name on our cart, right?
It does happen, but we get the call, we go deliver new carts. So the residents are not being penalized if the carts disappear or a wheel falls off or a lid falls off. If we can repair it, we will. We do not replace dirty carts. It's your trash, not our trash, so we ask that you.
Keep them clean.
If you bag it, you'll keep your trash can clean, or you can be like me, and I have a company that comes to my house every month, charges me a really nice fee, and leaves the deodorizer in my carts. And it smells really good until the next month.
So I have another question. So all I can speak to is like Ranch House, right where I live. And so one side of the street, not mine, but the other side of the street, they have had their beautiful cans, maybe a month now, it's been a while. But the whole side, the other side, I've been looking and there's no cans there. So how does that work? Some have cans, some don't.
Everybody should have them. We did an audit.
Yes.
And we compiled a list of everybody who had carts. And we got those lists from the city on who was paying for utility bills. And we went out, we delivered all of the carts. If you guys want to share that information with Tony, and I'll get that information, and we can look into that further.
Okay.
But I've been doing this cart thing since about last October. We set up a website for residents to reach out to us, answer any questions, request a new cart if they didn't like the one that they had, and all of that. We're answering all of those within the same day, unless they come in after 5, but we're getting those carts out there within the next 24 to 48 hours tops. So if I don't know about it, I can't fix it, and so I'll be happy to, make sure that anybody that does not have a cart gets a cart.
Okay,
But
I'll
when
give
we
her
did
the address.
mailer,
Perfect.
we gave them the information on what was coming. We even had a few residents, seniors, that were a little intimidated by the 95-gallon and asked for a smaller. We took care of those. We have a couple that were just intimidated by carts overall. And due to those reasons, we put them on backdoor service. So the driver actually gets out, goes up, gets their trash. So, we're working very hard to make sure that everybody gets service. The main thing about our facility in Aledo, Marty Anderson is the operations manager there. He's been there for a very long time. And his group, they're like a little family out here. And so they take this all very, very personally. So if I even start an email with, I heard from, it's like, what'd you hear? What happened? What did we do? Calm down, it was just a question. So they're very hands-on out here. And they know your residents probably better than most everybody does. They know their patterns, their behaviors, who's bringing trash from other cities. They'll stop that. They pay attention. They know what's going on. So I think the carts is going to be a good thing for your residents. It's going to make it a lot easier to get it down to the end of the driveway to get us to pick it up. So
Okay.
it's a little bit of a sticker shock because we added the cart right in there and a price increase all at the same time. I get it. But we had over 60% of the residents in the 6 cities were already renting a cart from us. So it only made sense. And I can't replace everybody's personal carts because I just can't, because some of them have had them for 100 years and they're antique and they've got a value of $10,000. And, it makes it really, really hard. Some people are very in tune with their cart. They mean a lot to them. Me, it's just trash.
It's just trash.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of a sticker shock. However, we were very upfront with all the residents and very forthcoming on what was coming. So,
Anybody else have any more questions?
I do. I got a couple comments. First, you're spot on with the Alito group over there. I've had great conversations with them. They accidentally broke my cart, and within an hour, they had a new cart there. Like, as soon as I made that phone call, that guy said, "Hey, I'm out front, drop a new cart off." The question I have is because we've taken the increase and everything else, and my neighbors, we're in Hunters Glen, so we're right around the corner, have noticed that they're paid for the increase. We understand that the machine is coming around. However, we still have driver and 2 rear guys picking up machines and everything else. Same thing with our recycling and things like that. So the big question is when are we going to be fully operational as far as the single loader? And
I'm so glad you asked. For a contract that I negotiated in 2023, I've had to really stay on top of this, but I don't know if you know, but supply chain since COVID is not back to what it needs to be. So what we actually did is I've hijacked, literally, a different brand of truck from some other business units that were getting theirs before I was getting mine. And so I hijacked those. So we should be 100%, all of the new trucks should be here before the end of July.
Okay.
But we are expecting, we've got 1, 2 now. We're expecting 2 more this month, and then the balance of them will be in July. So we're very close. And I do want to tell you, nobody's losing their job. We still have bulk to pick up out here. So you're still going to see rear load trucks because we have to pick the bulk up with the rear load trucks.
Yeah.
So, but nobody's losing their job. We have a new program at Republic where we're actually training helpers to become drivers. They can go through our driving school. And so nobody's losing their job. So
Perfect.
I just want to make that perfectly clear. Everybody gets to stay.
Thank y'all very much.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great information.
coming.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sterling.
Thank you.
Appreciate
We have a
you.
question behind you, I think.
Real quick
Thank you.
question, and this is maybe just particular to Vista Drive where I live. But the street has gotten more and more narrow over the years, just because of maintenance things and like that. And at the end of the day, when you're coming home, a lot of the barrels, whatever you want to call them, are sticking out in the street far enough that 2 cars can't pass each other. Now, is that, are we in Vista Drive not putting them far enough back, or are they just dropping them off further out on the street?
So actually, the truck actually picks it up where the resident places it, empties it, and puts it right back down. The truck doesn't move forward, backward, sideways. So it could be that residents are putting it out a little bit further from the curb, but we have very specific instructions on where to place parts. And my preferences are not in the street at all. But let me talk to Marty and Jeffrey and see what we can do.
You're pretty much, everybody's got very large lots there. And the houses are positioned where they're just actually facing the ones across the street. And so you're getting both of them there, to be picked up. So you've got a double whammy there to where you go another 1/8 of a mile before you get.
Well, I just ordered 3,000 stickers today that they're going to start putting on carts about cart placement, showing cars and trees and carts and everything. So I'm anticipating I'll have those by probably within the next 10 days. And so we'll start putting those on cards as they come across it. But I will talk to Marty's team in the morning and make sure that they're aware that we need to do a little bit better at pushing them back.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so item 3 is for discussion action to authorize consultants, Hub International, to seek competitive proposals for employee health, dental, vision, life, and short-term disability for the new fiscal year. Tony, are you presenting this?
Well, this was part of the consent agenda, so we don't really have anything. It's just an annual contract that we have with Hub, who is our provider for our benefits, our medical benefits. And so it's just an annual contract for us to review and sign, approve.
So we don't need a motion or anything else?
Yes, you
Send
do,
it?
because
You
it wasn't
need to go
done
and
in
do
the
it.
consent
Okay.
agenda.
Is there any discussion on this item? No? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize consultants with Hub International to seek competitive proposals for employee health, dental, vision, life, and short-term disability benefits for the new fiscal year.
Second.
We have a second. Dina, you have. Sean?
Yes.
Second?
Yes.
Okay, a little fast there. Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Now moving on. For discussion and to receive a presentation from Jessica Brown of Freeze and Nichols regarding Parker County Public Utility Agency.
Andrew will actually be presenting for us, not Jessica. She is not here tonight, so thank you, Andrew.
Okay, Andrew.
Gave me away, Tony.
What is your last name, Andrew?
Andrew Franco. with
Andrew
Freeze and
Franco.
Nichols.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you all for having me. Like Tony said, Jessica couldn't be here tonight. We were here in February, I believe at the February 24th meeting, where we kind of gave a little bit of a primer of the Parker County Public Utility Agency. So I'm really here to give some more updates, talk about some more path forward, and we have a little bit more details. We've had a few meetings since then, so that's kind of what I'm here to present tonight. Going back from the very beginning, going back 5-6 years ago during COVID, when Parker County got some ARPA funds, they were distributed as the county saw fit. Once they started getting to the end of the funds, there was a committee that was responsible for designating all those funds, and with some of the remainder, what they did was they decided to convert that committee to what's called the Parker County Hydrology 2050 Committee to discuss water. And so with the remaining funds, they decided to put out for a bid to hire consultants to help them attack that issue. They hired Freeze and Nichols, and we've been working with the county since really towards the end of 2024, using the ARPA funds to conduct this study and do all this work that we're presenting on today. So again, back in February, we talked about some of the drivers and the overview, so I'll quickly go through some of that. I want to get in a little bit more of the details of the agency development that's been going on over the last few months, and then we'll kind of talk about our path forward and other steps. So, just framing the discussion, really, Parker County, you can see from the chart here, and throughout the state of Texas, Parker County they have more than double the amount of groundwater wells in their county boundaries alone. The second most, the county with the second most individual wells is Wise County, so our neighbors to the north. So you can see throughout the state, this area specifically has a very high concentration of groundwater wells. And so what that looks like what the science and the math tell us is that in general, the aquifers below ground, we're having to drill deeper in order to get to that water. And with the burden and the stress that's placed on our aquifer, you can see the chart on the right shows that we're actually pulling less out of the ground per well than we have been historically. So we're having to go deeper, costs more money, and we're getting less water out. So that is not a desirable path to be going down. So really what that's telling us in general is that groundwater throughout the county is no longer a sustainable primary option for water. Now, we realize there are certain other options from a surface water perspective, such as the city of Weatherford. They have their own water plant. They provide for their cities. Aledo, Willow Park, Hudson Oaks, y'all purchase water from city of Fort Worth, which is a surface water. source. And so, but the remainder of the county, for the most part, they're unable to have those surface water options, and so trying to figure out what that might look like going forward. The Texas Water Development Board, they do a state water plan update every 5 years. They just published the 2026 regional water plan. City of Willow Park and Parker County as a whole falls into what's called Region C, which is kind of the north central Texas area. You can see the graph here shows the 50-year outlook of water needs for Parker County, both on the Trinity side, which is going to be the east side of the county, and the Brazos side, which is the west side of the county. I've got a map that'll illustrate what that looks like going here in a few slides. But the blue part of the bars shows what are the existing water supplies that we have to serve Parker County. The yellow are total strategies, supply strategies that are included in the state water plan. So those are what are planned for to bring in more water into Parker County. You can see the line, that is the total need going out into the future. So if you look from 2030 up to 2080, we have a pretty significant rise in the total need based on what all the individual entities are reporting to the board as saying, this is what we need in the future. And so there are small and then pretty significant gaps that are on the horizon. And so what we need to do is figure out how can we start to close that gap. So looking at Willow Park specifically, you can see on the map here, there's a bunch of little blue dots that are, and the yellow outline is the Willow Park city limits. You can see all the little individual blue dots, and those are domestic water wells that are registered with Parker County and the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District. So over 200 are within the city limits and then within 2 miles of the city limits. 600 wells alone. At an average depth of almost 270 feet that yield about 21 gallons on average. Now, that's not the case for every one of them. And as I mentioned, y'all have a mix of groundwater as well as surface water that's purchased from City of Fort Worth. From a demand standpoint, we have an estimated kind of an average day demand in the existing of about 1 million gallons needed by the City of Willow Park. Looking out into the future, we see that increasing to 2.5, almost 3 million gallons on an average day basis. When you move into a maximum day basis, that's going to be our summertime, where we have that very high water usage. We're looking at 5 or 6 million gallons needed in the future.
Andrew, can I ask you one quick question?
Yes.
What is outcrop and subcrop?
So those are essentially aquifer formations below ground, and so the Trinity Aquifer outcrop is going to be those are going to be some of our higher areas of getting water, and then the subcrop will be kind of that next plateau beneath it.
Thank you.
So anyway, again, as I mentioned, the overall goal of this water supply initiative is to address the short and long-term needs for the county as a whole. The steps we've been walking through in this process is to look at forming this regional partnership, which we're here to talk about today. We looked at water districts versus this public utility agency. Really the one big difference of the district versus the agency is a water district is something that's legislatively formed. So you have to work with your state and elected representatives to determine all the details, how it's going to work, who's going to be a part of the water district, what are all their powers and what that governance structure is going to look like. The public utility agency, on the other hand, is more of it's doing all the same things, but it's also developed and formed at the local level. So all the different entities who are interested are having a say, helping to put this together and kind of start to form the agency to what they want it to become. So, the big benefit there is, again, you're giving control to the local level in forming the agency. So we're building those demand projections. We are looking at existing and potential water supply options. We've conducted meetings with Tarrant Regional Water District, who serves the Trinity Basin. We've conducted meetings with Brazos River Authority that serves on the Brazos side of Parker County. So we're in discussions with them looking at what potential options there could be for water supply. Engaging the public, back in November of last year, we had the first Parker County Water Symposium, which was a great educational tool. We had a lot of support. We had a lot of people that showed up, participated, and hopefully learned a few things. I will say we're in discussions to plan the second one. So be on the lookout for in November of later this year. We will be looking to schedule and build that second symposium out. Right now, the project team, we're looking at developing a conceptual or preliminary kind of a regional transmission system of what it looks like from water supply. You have to have a raw water supply, have treatment plants, you have distribution and transmission lines, tanks, pump stations, all the things required to actually deliver water to an entity. So we're looking at what that's going to look like based on who are all the potential members that are going to be a part of the agency. Finally, financing and funding. How are we going to get this thing kind of off the ground and moving forward? We're working with Representative Goldman's office on a potential appropriation as kind of an infusion to get the agency off the ground. When you are in a regional partnership, you have the ability to request federal and state funding. Usually the folks who kind of monitor or administer those programs, they are a lot friendlier to regional entities than they are to individuals. Finally, financial framework. It's important to utilize that regional capacity in order to kind of advance your goals as a group. So, some other considerations from a regional collaboration standpoint. Again, I mentioned the groundwater. It's not a sustainable long-term plan, so we have to address what are going to be some of the options going forward. One of the great examples of doing regional partnerships, I think specific to Willow Park, is when y'all partnered with Hudson Oaks and getting a water line from the city of Fort Worth. The cost share between the two utilities made it it was a more practical and achievable project than to have each entity go it at alone. So, kind of the thought process is, we're stronger together, we can achieve more together, and we can get the water that we need. From an economic development standpoint, without water, we're not going to grow and develop. I think that's pretty evident, and we're seeing it in other parts of the state, across the country. In areas where water is not present, people move, people leave, and that can certainly be a factor down the road. And finally, the agency provides a structure to collaborate and work with all of the entities throughout the county in order to get this agency taken care of. I talked about really the big difference between the district and the agency. Again, you can see all the considerations from a water district. Again, those are determined by legislation, not by the members themselves. On the agency, we have the ability to do all these things more at that local and in-house level. I think the big thing I like to hit on here is the agency is not a taxing authority. That is in state law. That is something that will never happen. So this is not a new tax that can be introduced to any of the members. So I talked about what's the difference between the Trinity and the Brazos basins for water service. You can kind of see on the map there's a kind of that black diagonal line that cuts its way through. And so again, everybody on the east side of the map is served out of the Trinity River Basin. Everybody on the west side eventually gets served from the Brazos River Basin. And so some of the different color designations on the map, we've been talking to a lot of entities. We've got some great interest from the majority of public water systems throughout Parker County. We have a couple others that have been, we'll say, non-responsive. We're still trying to work with them. We're still trying to get everybody on board with this process. We just haven't achieved 100% participation just yet. And the other color that kind of tan brownish color, those would be all of your undeveloped or unincorporated areas throughout the county where there's really no plan for water outside of the groundwater. So once the groundwater starts to dry up in those areas, they have nothing at this point. And Commissioner Walden, he's kind of been spearheading the effort for the county. What he likes to say basically is that nobody in Parker County is trying to solve this problem except for residents of Parker County. And so we talk about we're trying to get funding from federal government, state government. They could be vehicles to help finance some of this stuff, but they're not actively planning to help try to solve this problem. So the county has taken on themselves to help provide a solution at the local level. I guess one thing on the third bullet about implementing and financing strategies is in that state water plan that I referenced, this agency has actually been included as a placeholder in the current water plan. It hasn't been formed yet, but it's already been included in the state water plan. So once the agency is formed, from day one, we can go out and start soliciting funding options. You know, the membership that we have at the folks who have expressed the interest, so those would be all the green areas of the map. You can see all the different entities that have expressed interest. Because Parker County would be the one that covers the green and that brown tan. And as I said, you know, they've kind of been taking the lead on getting this group together. So we've been conducting meetings similar to this at all these different entities, you know, trying to, you know, present that consistent message and make sure that everybody is aware of what's trying to be put together here. So the process of forming the PUA itself is we've been conducting these meetings where we look at all of these different boxes on the left. So who are the membership? What are the powers and provisions of the PUA look like going forward? What are the boundaries of the agency? And then, you know, what's that board going to look like once the agency is established? So every entity that signs up and participates in the PUA, they will have a board member. So I'll talk a little bit about their qualifications here in a minute. And so we've had these discussions. I'll say Michelle, Gretchen, Chase, they've been present at all the meetings. They've been very vocal. They have, you know, voiced their questions, concerns, things that they like and don't. So we certainly appreciate their efforts in being a part of this process going forward. So we have a draft ordinance and a draft user agreement that has been sent to all of the entities who are interested. And so from that point, going forward, in order to kind of start the process, it's really a pretty straightforward process of providing public notice. So you need to publish public notice in the county newspaper of general circulation once a week for 2 consecutive weeks. If there's a petition, then it would be put to an election vote. If not, then the entities are able to pass concurrent ordinances, and the agency is formed. So what are all the different components in the ordinance and the user agreement? Kind of hit on the boxes that are in the ordinance on the left. The 2 things that we've probably had the most discussion about would be voting and the membership themselves. On the user agreement, we've listed out what the initial cost share would look like. We have draft forms in the user agreement. We got some feedback and comments about reimbursement, so we have added that into the user agreement. So folks who participate early, they will have the ability to get some reimbursement for their initial investment down the road. So on the ordinance itself, board membership, we talked about, again, all the participating entities have a board representative. Memberships will be on 4-year terms. No term limits were discussed, and we would do staggered terms to not have the board overturn all at the same time. So you would have half the board would have a 4-year limit, a 4-year term to start, and then the other half would be 2 years. And then you can continue to reappoint your board member as you see fit. Qualifications, is a pretty broad brush there. All the only qualifications that are listed would be a qualified voter of at least 18 years of age. And the reason why we kind of got to that point is some of these entities are rather small. That makes a pretty small pool to pull from. They wanted to keep it pretty broad. But again, it is up to each entity to designate who they believe is going to be the best representative of their entity to the agency. And then the fiscal year, just about all the municipalities in Parker County are on a October 1 to September 30th fiscal year. So moving over to the user agreement, this would be talking about, if from the initial onset, it would be a 5-year term initially, and then you can renew it each year after that if you choose to stay a part of the agency. And then the county itself will be the fiscal agent once the agency is formed. So from a membership standpoint, there's kind of an inflection point. It's before and after debt is issued to determine how members can essentially join or exit. So before debt is issued, you can really just kind of provide notice. I think it's the 180-day notice period that says, hey, we are going to go a different direction, essentially. That does require board approval, as well as for members who do want to join down the road as well. That will require a unanimous board approval to add new members. Now, once after debt is issued, you would be looking at potentially, you would purchase capacity of a certain water component, i.e. treatment plant capacity, capacity of a pump station or a water line. If an entity chooses to leave after debt has been issued, then they would need to work to either sell or transfer their debt obligation to another entity who wants to buy up or purchase that capacity. And then the main funding or the main revenue structure going forward will all be centered around water rates. So we also had a lot of discussion too amongst the group about how can we incentivize folks to join at the beginning versus down the road. And so really what the group has kind of talked about is making rates or potentially making rates for initial members could have a lower water rate than entities who choose to join in the future. Things like that. Again, we're trying to encourage everyone to be a part of this and find the right incentives to get folks to sign up and be a part of the PUA. We certainly want to reward those who come to the table first. So getting into cost sharing, this is, again, in the user agreement itself. We had a lot of discussion here on how to allocate funds, have it be as equitable as can be, but also have a justifiable or a defendable position on creating all these different cost-sharing tiers. We initially only had 3 cost-sharing tiers. We had a lot of comment and discussion there, so we split it out into a more of a granular look. And so these are the kind of the proposed tiers for all of the different entities throughout Parker County. You can see Willow Park falls in the 5,000 to 10,000 population designation for an individual cost share of $20,000. If you look at the bottom, Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District, they are a group. They don't have a service population. They don't serve water. They just kind of monitor all the groundwater throughout the county. They have volunteered to participate at a $25,000 level and also to provide in-kind services to kind of, again, be a contributor and a member in the PUA. And then finally, county would take the largest cost share there of $100,000. So if you look at all the different entities and what that looks like from a dollar amount, if we have all these folks sign up at these cost share tiers, we're looking at about a $350,000 annual participation to help get this agency off the ground, in addition to whatever potential federal appropriated funds that we can get. Why do we show the tiers? Because, in order to start the agency, what do we need? What kind of funding do we need? And you can see all the different components that are required to help start and run an agency. You need administration, bookkeeping, legal services, engineering services, PR, and then, kind of a catch-all bucket for whatever else is left over. And so that's about $300,000. That's without having a full-time general manager. If we budgeted for a full-time general manager, you're looking at $500,000 a year. Some of the other agencies that have been started up throughout the state, they are kind of moving with that model of not having a full-time general manager, but contracting with an individual in order to start the agency process. So the phases, again, talked about that inflection point of issuing debt and starting to build infrastructure. Right now, we're talking about this initial phase of where we're, continuing to explore water supply options, secure water supply, and really start the planning of what all that infrastructure is going to look like. So we're not going to issue any debt, we're not going to have any construction costs in order to help pay for those. That's the initial phase. And then once we have our plan in place, we move forward, now we're going to start looking at getting all of those components bid, designed, constructed, so then we can actually start delivering water. And so that's going to be a downstream phase. That's when the water rates start kicking in, and that's how the revenues for the PUA will then be distributed going forward. So timeline perspective, here we are in June. We're doing all the presentation to the entities, talking about what the ordinance would look like. I will say we're going to be doing these presentations kind of throughout mid to late July, so we're probably going to be shifting this schedule a little bit to look at maybe an August advertisement, hopefully passing ordinance September, and then really by the end of this year, though, the idea is to have the agency execute all the user agreements and then start to seek that board going forward. So when 2027 starts, then we're really moving forward with starting to plan out what the agency's going to look like. So kind of really just in summary, the benefits of what the PUA can provide to all the member entities is, we're trying to create that regional structure, provide opportunities for the county to work together to solve the water problem, and really just provide for that future growth, to provide, securing that much needed water supply. I will say that, for an entity like Willow Park that already has some surface water capacity allocated to them, the question to think about is what we have contracted, is that going to meet our ultimate needs? Do we need a second supply? You could look at it maybe as an insurance policy. If something were to happen with your current supplies, this would be another option that can provide water service going forward. And so, really, we're trying to look at being competitive from a funding perspective, utilizing the PUA as a way to, again, score high from a grant and low interest loan standpoint that's going to help advance and move some of the infrastructure that we need. And really, like I said, you as a participating entity, you would have a member on the board. You would have a say in kind of how all this agency operates and goes forward. With that, I'll take any questions. We have a website, we have an email address, so if you don't have anything tonight, think of something tomorrow, the next day, next week, please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer them.
I have a question. This might not be your arena, but it shows that you have concerns about wells and their long-term ability.
Mm-hmm.
So are there certain qualifiers to someone who moves in and says, I want to dig a well? Or how does that work?
That is not really being addressed here. I guess I should have mentioned it, and I'm, it's important, I think, for everyone to know is that the agency is not here to take away anybody's well. The agency is not here to dictate and say, you have to use our water, you have to buy from us. This is just an option. This This is not an edict or demand to do this. We're trying to provide something for the county as a whole. So I guess more back to your initial question, I would say no. We're not the ones that look at and say you can or can't build a well on X, Y, and Z property.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any more questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say, based on your model, what time period do we have before our demand outpaces our supply? I know we have it out to 2080, but it looks like we're thinking mid-2030s at this point, based on what you've seen, and what kind of timeline then for an agency like this can we seek to kind of narrow that and make it?
I would say if growth continues at the same pace, you're looking at the need eclipsing the supply probably towards 2040-ish. It's hard to put down a definite year on what that looks like. And then the other part of the question is, if the agency started tomorrow and you were very diligent in setting up all of the different components needed, you're probably looking at 5 to 6 years before water is actually delivered. Between planning, design, construction, it just takes time in order to do that. So that delta, that window could get smaller, or pretty darn small, the longer the agency waits to actually move forward.
And you talked about early adoption and kind of preferential things. Is this going to be, I guess, speak to like the equity piece of buying in early, or some of that? Is this going to be at some point, it'd be great to bring on 100 different entities, but at some point you can't keep chopping up the piece of the puzzle that much. How does that work as far as first come, first serve, early adopters, or is it population based? If you're us getting in now, is that better than a larger, like a Weatherford later? How will that piece work as far as the equity portion is based?
So again, the way the documents are structured is that every entity that participates has a member on the board. So you do have, there are a lot of decisions and opportunities that are determined or fleshed out with everybody having an equal vote. There are a couple instances where we've looked at a weighted voting structure. And so the two instances that we've talked about would be, number one, if the agency were to issue any contracts over $500,000 in value, that would require a weighted vote. The second case would be when debt gets issued. That would require a weighted vote. And so we presented options to the committee about what that vote would look like. And what we showed her essentially is, from a weighted standpoint, if you look at just on population basis, like Weatherford and Parker County, they would dominate the vote. And so it's been determined to cap what that vote would look like, to where they can't be the only two entities that dominate or direct every decision going forward. So there are options or provisions in place to prevent that from happening. Does that kind of help answer your question a little bit?
A little bit. Definitely there would be concern, obviously, with us being in that 5,000 to 10,000, and that kind of right in the middle tier as to what voice or what say we would have in it if there was more population-based, equity-based, depending on how it was structured. So that would be my main concern. It'd be great to participate, great to get everybody water, but if we're always the last ones at the table based on population size, it doesn't serve our citizens well. So I just want to make sure that there's a responsible look at how we participate, and we're not just helping the big boys get what they need.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And that has been voiced, and the committee has really worked well in that regard of putting guardrails in place to prevent things like that from happening. You talk about when you're forming your board and having your charter, you're there when you're on the board. You've got your Parker County hat on. It's not your Willow Park hat on, so to speak. We're here to solve the county-wide issue. We're providing a regional a regional provider standpoint here. And so there are, you know, when you look at, when you're laying out like a water system, you know, if, you know, everybody participates in a treatment plant because everybody pulls water from that treatment plant. But then when you start getting out in some of the individual, like a line that's delivering water to Willow Park, so to speak, you know, y'all would probably take on a higher cost proportion of that specific project, but you also have that capacity allocated to you going forward.
Right, okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
Andrew, I have a few questions. What are some of the areas you're targeting as far as getting the water from? Like, where are y'all looking at getting water?
So I can speak to on the kind of the east side, the Trinity Basin, in our discussions with Tarrant Regional Water District. They have discussed as the highest probable option for securing water supply would be coming from Lake Benbrook into Parker County. So City of Weatherford has a raw water pump station and a pipeline at Lake Benbrook that then moves water up to Weatherford Lake that then goes to their treatment plant. And so in the, you know, again, in the interest or the, you know, the working together strategy would, you know, potentially be to, you know, work with the City of Weatherford to figure out, can we have some shared benefit, you know, maybe in an interim basis until there's a point in time when we would want to have a secondary pump station line, things like that. And so that's what the initial conversations are on the Trinity side of the basin. On the Brazos side or the west side of the county, we're still in some ongoing conversations with the BRA on where that might actually come from.
Do you have any sense of an idea about what potential rates might be? I mean, I know it's extremely early, it depends on a lot of different factors, but you know, if you look at joining into something, you kind of want to have a sneak peek of what, you know, if we're going to buy something and the next thing you know is the water is 30 times the amount that it is currently, we want to make sure we understand that.
No, I totally understand that. I don't have a good answer for you on that. Let me take that down and I'll go talk to the team.
Yeah.
And we can get back to you.
Okay, anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. So the thing that concerns me on this is obviously cost of investment versus what we get back out of it. That's the big factor to it. The other factor is obviously our contractual obligation with Fort Worth of how we receive water from them now versus joining into a PUA and everything else like that. I'll be honest with you, when Jessica presented this to us last time, I glazed over. It was a lot of information.
It is.
I didn't understand the benefit to us whatsoever. The other thing that scares me on it is we're paying our citizens are paying $20,000 a year plus their county taxes of the $100,000 a year into that. So cost factor there. My general issue is then we look at infrastructure and having to, if we're sharing pump stations, if we're sharing wastewater systems and things like that, or we're moving back and forth and everything else like that, who's paying for that? I mean, I understand there's federal funding that could be that. Do you have any idea what the federal funding could be? I mean, are we talking hundreds of millions of dollars that's going to cover that infrastructure? And then at that point, who does the work? Things like that. That's where my big concerns are.
No, yep. Those are very valid concerns. Those are concerns that we've heard from the committee as well. You know, you have a current contract with the city of Fort Worth. Purchase you have a allotted capacity of what you can purchase from them. Here again, the agency wouldn't replace that. It could supplement that. It is something that you could potentially, you can only take so much from Fort Worth, so you could supplement it, or you could even use it to kind of balance out where you're taking your sources of supply from. Fort Worth is not a take or pay contract structure. So I guess to your point, if we have an idea of what the rates look like, we can start to help make some of those decisions going forward.
Yeah.
On the funding standpoint, development board is, well, the Texas State Legislature They've, going forward over the next 20 years, they have set aside $1 billion every year to help fund water infrastructure projects throughout the state. And here again, the thought process is that this regional entity would be a higher scoring candidate than other ones. So, we're trying to put the agency in the best position going forward to be eligible for that funding. And then for the, who's going to kind of run this? Again, once the agency kind of gets off the ground and is formed, you start building that staff. It starts with the general manager. He starts to hire staff, like you have an operations manager. You start building up your staff going forward as your infrastructure is being built. So that will become its kind of own standalone agency that will own, operate, and maintain the system itself.
Okay, anything else when we move on? Okay, Bill.
Sorry about that, but the graphs that you've shown us is showing consumption going up for so many years like that. Parker County is being inundated with people wanting to put in data centers. Data centers use hundreds of thousands of gallons of water a day. How does that going to figure into that? Is that going to blow the whole thing out of the water or what? Because we're not going to be able to get any more water for them or for the city if we're going to get it all for data centers.
That's a great question. One thing I can say about the state water plan, that recently just published state water plan, is that data centers they're not a standalone category in the state water plan as of this current round. Going forward, we will see something differently. I think in the next state legislature session, you'll be hearing a lot more about data centers themselves and what the pros, cons, or what the impacts might be. So, I can't speak to are we bringing in all these data centers and they're going to take all the water. Just the thought process of knowing if something were to come in that's a high water user, then yes, you might need more water supply in order to provide that service.
That's what I was thinking.
Carol?
Bill kind of stole my question. But I did want to ask, is there any kind of dedicated thought process or line item within the plan that you're putting together, consideration by all these entities, that talks about and explains to these cities the impact of data centers in terms of how much water they use and if there's any kind of impact on the location of those data centers? As you noted, there are areas of Parker County that have absolutely no plan for water at this time. They're also the areas that have the biggest space available for them. And I'm curious to know if that will have an even greater adverse impact on water supply and on the amount of water and the cost of getting into those data centers. And if there's any thought processes could go into forcing data centers to pay for that. But more to the point, even if you can get that done, I think one of the biggest concerns I have about data centers is not even thinking about the utility costs associated with them. That would end up being borne by the citizens of this county. I also have a great concern about water. We're not making any new water. And we're about to apparently get ourselves involved with data centers that will use up an enormous quantity of water. And I'm not sure, and I think that the task force that your precinct is leading is an excellent idea. But I'm not sure there's enough water in Parker County or in the surrounding counties that can deal with those data centers. And I would greatly appreciate it if this council and other bodies would educate themselves on the costs associated with those data centers and the costs that would inevitably be passed on to us. And as it stands right now, a whole bunch of people are being blinded, as best I can tell, by the promise of lots of jobs, none of which stick around with the data center, by the way. And none of which are very interested, it seems to me, in dealing with the actual utility and water costs associated with these projects. Thank you.
those are all great points. I think that the topic of data centers has hit the industry very fast and very hard. And so I don't know of anybody who has all the great answers yet. I think we're, from an engineering standpoint, we're trying to wrap our heads around it as well, and really try to, you got to know what you're up against. You got to know what those needs are, and they're definitely going to have impacts. More so than just water. I'm in the water business, but there are all the other, the air quality, the noise pollution, things of that nature too. So this is a fully fledged problem that needs to be addressed. And here again, the agency itself is a vehicle to help address that issue, to where you don't have to have an individual entity like Willow Park having to address that themselves. That there could be negative impacts to that, as well as what the positives that everybody preaches about data centers. So I will tell you to come to our second symposium in November, because we'll probably have some information and panels regarding data centers.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Item number 6 is for discussion action to consider approval of Resolution 2026-2027 regarding Title VI Non-Discrimination Plan. Is this going to be presented by Gretchen? There she is.
It is.
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi, Mayor, Council. City staff were recently contacted by TxDOT Civil Rights Division regarding the city's compliance with Title VI requirements. Title VI compliance refers to the legal requirement that any organization, agency, or program receiving federal financial assistance must not discriminate on the basis of race, color, or national origin. The city, as recipient of federal funds through the Texas Department of Transportation, is required to comply with the provisions of Title VI. To meet these requirements, staff developed a Title VI plan that addresses key compliance components, including Title VI policy, statement and assurances, designation of a Title VI coordinator, complaint procedures, public engagement, and demographic data collection and analysis. The plan has been reviewed by TxDOT's Title VI compliance team and our city attorney. It will need to be updated every 3 years to reflect changes in Title VI compliance operations. Included in the packet is a resolution adopting the City of Willow Park's Title VI plan. Any questions?
Okay, any discussion?
Gretchen, can you remind everybody what TxDOT funding this is for, and this is?
So the city is currently receiving federal funds for the Kingsgate Bridge and our Transportation Alternatives Project, which is the bike lane sidewalks on Kingsgate Road.
Perfect.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-27 and the City of Willow Park's Title VI Non-Discrimination Plan.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, Gretchen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7 is discussion action approve the budget calendar for our fiscal year 2026-2027 annual budget discussions and required approvals. We have Michelle.
Evening, Council. As y'all know, it's a wonderful time of budget once again. Before y'all, I have the proposed budget calendar. I did give y'all options on workshops this year. The reason I did that is we can either do it like we traditionally do before or at the beginning of a council meeting, hold workshops, or what I would actually prefer is to do a Saturday workshop. I know that's asking y'all to come in, but I think it would be a more easy discussion with all the department heads, because I'm going to make them actually present their budgets this year. So Other than that, the dates are mandatory of what is required. We'll file the budget with Dina on the 24th of July. We get the appraisals on the 25th. We will have to have at least 4 out of 5 of you here on September 8th. And then we will also hold public hearings on the budget and tax rate on August 25th, not 28th. I put the wrong one in the briefing sheet. So y'all just let me know what y'all would like to do with workshops.
How long are those meetings, do you think? How long are the meetings going to be ballpark on a Saturday?
Depends on how depth y'all want to get. I mean, honestly, if we did a Saturday, we could get all the funds done instead of breaking it up in two. So
So it'll be a
4 hours?
special meeting because we have council,
I'd
yes?
say 3 to 4, so.
Yeah.
So, yes, ma'am. Yeah, it'd be
Right.
special.
Okay. Okay. Is there a motion to go forward with the Saturdays?
Michelle, if we did a Saturday, like for instance, option 2, July 11th, and we had kind of looked at the budget, we needed departments to go back and kind of rework some numbers, would we then need to have another meeting to kind of make sure everything's in alignment with the way we want it to go?
That would be up to y'all. I mean, if y'all felt fairly good coming out of the 11th and where I could just go back and make changes, or me and Jake technically, then we could do that. If y'all felt like we needed to come back, we would try to set up another hearing, or, workshop.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion for the Saturdays?
I've got a conflict the 11th, so.
Okay.
You have a conflict with July 11th?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need 4 of the 5 of them?
Not necessarily, we just need a quorum.
Right.
For workshops, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you want to go to Saturdays?
I think Saturdays works with me. I can do any of the days.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
I didn't say 11th or 18th.
Do you want to pick one?
I can do the 18th, I just can't do the 11th.
18th is probably going to be better for me.
That's fine.
I don't have a conflict either way.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so if we go with the 18th, is that what your motion you want to make?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we use option 3, July 18th, to start at 9 a.m. in the morning for a budget calendar workshop with department heads.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you very much.
Can we make sure that Rose sends us a calendar invite so that way we've got it blocked off?
Okay, item 8 is for discussion, action, approval, Public Works Department surplus items for auction. Is Chase doing this? Here he comes. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, as you stated, we have a surplus of just minor equipment that we have had for 10, 15, 20 years that has hit at the end of its life. It will cost us more to repair or to keep utilizing than it would be, than what it's worth. And some of this stuff has already been replaced throughout the years. We have just kept it at the yard, so I'm just seeking approval to auction some things off and clean house.
are you serving as auctioneer for this? Is this-
No.
Okay.
Not doing that, huh?
Chase, the last time I think we did this, was it about 2.5, 3 years ago?
Yes, we had a backhoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, an old backhoe that we auctioned off, yes, sir.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sale of surplus items at auction as presented by Chase.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you, Chase. Okay, we're going on to 9. Is for discussion action to approve the donation of a Willow Park Police Department patrol car to Aledo Independent District Police Department. There's no briefing sheet. Quincy coming forward. Houston wants to talk, so Houston, jump in there.
So I guess you almost have to understand that Houston Wingard, 709 King Street. So being educated can be sometimes dangerous. So I was reading over the agenda for the day, saw this item come up, And recently, we did a speed study on Kingsgate, and I want to say, I think we're participating in one maybe up on Vista Drive, because there was also a complaint about some traffic up there. All I'm saying is, I don't know if this is the right vehicle, or if there's some other vehicle, and then whether or not there's even a policy. But I don't know about you, but when I see a police car sitting on the side of the road, I don't care if I'm speeding or not, I slow down. I just do it.
So
It's human
excuse me,
nature.
sir, I hate to interrupt you, but we're violating the Open Meetings Act right now, so we're going to have to stick to what's on the agenda. So what's on the agenda right now is the donation of a police vehicle, not whatever it is that you're discussing.
Well, what
So
I
I'm
was
terribly
asking is-
sorry.
What I was asking is if this police vehicle can be then deferred to another purpose.
Well, why don't we hear the item first, the agenda item first? Let's stick to the agenda, and then
Okay?
let's see if the mayor will then entertain
Sorry
your
to
question.
take up your time.
You're not, it's just state law.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. So the unit that we're wanting to donate is actually the old SRO unit from TCA. So we took a 2016 Tahoe, and when we got the contract with TCA, we made it into our SRO unit. That unit has cost us roughly $17,000 in repairs, which is a lot more than any other car we have. So it's taking more to keep that car on the road than it is actually worth. To sell that unit, we probably get about anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500, which isn't much for a car. I've spoken with Chief Stevens over at Alito ISD. They're in need of vehicles, and they're willing to do the repairs on the car that we aren't willing to continue to do. So if they're willing to do the repairs, we don't have an issue with donating the car if you guys are okay with it.
So Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you again. So are you asking the city council to declare it salvage because there's no value to it anymore because your agenda item is just talking about the donation? So is that what your request is?
Pretty much correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then what we're going to have, when and if your city council takes action, they're going to have to declare it so. So you have to declare it either salvage or surplus, and then you can decide if you are in agreement with what your PD wants to do.
Okay. All right. So you're going to let Houston talk now?
I'm done.
You're done? Okay. He's done. Okay.
Quincy, is the car currently in duty at all, or is it?
No.
just- Okay,
We took it out of service. It was needing more repairs in order to pass inspection.
gotcha.
So it was going to cost more money to repair it than it's worth. So,
How many of these do we have currently?
One.
Just one? Okay.
This is it?
yeah.
Okay.
And if my memory serves me correct, that style of Tahoe is not even like the second oldest, but it's like the third oldest style of Tahoe that kind of looks like when,
It's the oldest one in the fleet right
Yeah.
now, yes.
Yeah.
I know they said they're willing to do the repairs, but are we being good neighbors by allowing them to take that on, or is that,
Hey, I said no taybacks.
okay, that's
Right.
kind of where I'm,
Right. You've got it disclosed,
as
so.
long as you feel like you've given proper notice and disclosure that this one has been
Yeah.
a burden to us, and you feel they're well informed of the risk of taking this on.
They very much are.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so are we going to have a motion to donate a salvaged vehicle?
What's the language, or how should we,
City council should make a motion to declare it salvage and to authorize the PD to donate it if you so choose.
okay.
Okay, is there a motion? Nathan?
I got to remember
Well,
what she
jump
just
in
said
there.
now. I'll make a motion to, help me out again.
To declare the vehicle
That was
salvage
described as salvage.
and to authorize the PD.
Yes, and to authorize our police department to donate it in the description that they provided tonight.
So be it. All right,
it.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you, Quincy.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on. 10 is for discussion action, approve software contract with GovWell Technologies. Okay, so talk to us about that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. City staff, along with IT, have evaluated multiple software solutions to improve the experience of permitting, inspections, plan review, code enforcement, and interdepartmental coordination across the community development operations. Currently, each department uses the same software for permit, planning, and building review, as well as separate, separate softwares tailored to specific departmental needs, but it lacks integration and it duplicates efforts. GovWell provides a modern system that consolidates all of these into one place. The software is designed specifically for local governments and is intended only to specifically improve internal efficiency while creating substantially better experiences for our residents and contractors. This will give staff the opportunity to combine software costs and remove unnecessary costs prior to the upcoming budget workshops. This is a 3-year contract, and city staff have reviewed the contract and recommend its approval.
So what other software solutions have we evaluated the staff?
We have evaluated, well, let me spell them off to you. I should have had that prepared.
Just ballpark's fine.
Well, about 5.
About 5?
Yes.
So this one shows that we're going to pay $40,000 in the first year. Is that comparable with the other ones that y'all looked at?
Each
Cost?
of them had a different cost, a way of costs.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them actually charged per module, some of them charged per permit. It was a multitude. This is all lumped together and will consolidate quite a bit of our softwares into one price.
So ballpark price-wise, it's comparable with the others?
Yes.
The staff looked at?
And the 9,000, excuse me.
You're fine.
The 9,000 of it is implementation of it.
That's what I was gonna ask.
All right.
Yes, 9,000's
So they're doing
implementation.
full implementation, conversion, training,
Yes, they'll work
setup,
with,
everything.
yes, and they'll work with us along with IT and
Yeah.
everybody to get it all up and running.
What's their support like in comparison to the others?
Incredible. So they actually have immediate support. They get response in 1 minute.
Okay.
They also have a built-in AI software that will really help our residents when they go in to submit plans to let them know what they're missing, or it just will help the process,
Okay.
expedite the process for everybody.
Will any of this integrate directly to our current website? In a way it gives more up-to-date information as far as billings or anything that's going on as far as updates on the website versus what we've got?
It will just be a link on our website and will take you to another spot, but it's going to be pretty straightforward.
Okay. Any other discussion?
They'll be able to work with us to get everything that we currently have brought into the system, all the tracking, everything that,
Yes,
all
yeah.
those modules that so often can get lost when you do a transfer to a
Yes.
different company. They'll help us bring that in-house and be able to manage it all.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So is there a motion to go forward?
Yep, go ahead.
Question, will this also be able to communicate outward to the people requesting the permits or updating on schedules and things of that nature? Will the
Yes.
software be able to do that so that way?
Yes, they actually will have an Outlook calendar that will sync with our Outlook calendars for if they have inspection times, permit questions, anything like that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Expedite. That's streamline.
Okay.
It's the goal.
Did you have a question?
No, I was going to make the motion if there's no other
Okay.
question.
You have a motion?
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve software contract with GovWell Technologies, Inc.
And we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you, Chelsea.
All right, item 11 is for discussion action to approve city staff to responsibly update city ordinances as deemed necessary. I don't think there's any memo on this, so who's presenting this?
Mayor, may we take a recess to get into executive? We have at 8 o'clock that we need to get to.
We're going straight to executive right now?
Yeah, we need to follow
We have an 8
11.
o'clock Teams meeting with other attorneys.
Don't know a thing about what you're talking about, so. So you want to go straight to 16 to,
Just recess into executive and then come back to finish the agenda after that.
because so you want everybody to wait that was going to talk on 16?
Or we're going to not be able to have an update on our executive.
Can we give him a call to see if he can delay until,
Can I duck out for a moment?
yeah.
Okay, so right now, let's just take a recess so we can figure out what's going on. Okay, take a recess, thank you. I'm sorry, everyone. I had no idea what was going on. So, okay, let's start the meeting again. It is 8:01. Okay, we're going on to 11, discussion action approval, city staff. We were talking about city ordinances, and now we're going to table that.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to table item 11 until our next regularly scheduled city council meeting.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, table and moving on. All right, now we're going to 12. It's for discussion action regarding data centers and flock cameras. Scott Smith and Eric Contreras.
Eric, you want to go first or you want to go first?
If you want to go, I can go.
Yeah, no worries. Obviously, data centers are a big factor, especially with their, the Parker County thing. I know they had their court today and everything else like that. I just wanted to come out, and I've been talking to staff about how we go about removing data centers from ordinances, from zoning, everything else like that. Willow Park is not a place for data centers. I don't want a data center in Willow Park. Never have, never will. So whatever we've got to do to look into that about having it removed and everything else is 100% what I want to do.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Scott said on the data center side of it. I also want to see if we can create ordinances in place for water usage for any type of large industry or whatever you want to call it, commercial aspect, that we don't allow anything over X amount of gallons per day, or we can put as many restrictions as we can to eliminate that as a potential for our city of Willow Park.
Okay, and who's talking about flock cameras? What
I
is
am.
that?
So that's another hot topic that's out there, is the flock cameras. So currently Willow Park has 0 flock cameras in there in our city, which I'm extremely proud that we don't have any right now. So flock cameras are the cameras that scan your license plate, and depending on who has access to that, they kind of determine where your vehicle's at, which determines where you're at. So right now, we don't have any in Willow Park, so I want to figure out if we can create an ordinance in place where if law enforcement were to ask us to potentially do something, because since I-20 is, kind of splitting our city, potentially law enforcement could need something like that, where we would issue a special use permit with a timeline on there, so that way we don't have anything permanent. That's where I would like us to try to do as a council, to try to create an ordinance of that type of nature, to make sure this isn't something that's permanent in our city, because I like the privacy that our citizens have. I think it's very important and crucial for every one of us.
So why would we need that? Temporary?
A special use permit?
Why would you temporarily need the flock
If-
cameras?
if
Because
they-
of the freeway? I don't
For law
understand.
enforcement.
For instance, if law enforcement said there is something traveling down I-20, whether it be, drugs, whatever, people are committing crimes down I-20 and they needed to do something to try to eliminate crimes and get bad people off the street, that's something that I think we could do, and if it'd be very strategic and very temporary in order to achieve the goal that they have, I think that's something I would consider for a special use permit. But I don't like something that's going to be permanent, that's going to be scanning everybody's license plates.
Yeah.
Data collecting and.
Okay, so Marcy Galley signed up to speak on 12.
I brought resolutions from here, Dina. Those are copies. So I attended the Commissioners Court meeting this morning, Marcy Galley, 500 Squaw Creek Road. It was a great meeting, standing room only. I loved seeing how well the Commissioners Court and staff were very nice to each other during the meeting. Definitely no one wants data centers. And I had asked back in late February for data centers to be removed from the PD. So I'm glad that people have changed their minds. We don't need a data center anywhere in the city or the county. And I think the resolution that they did was a great start. I brought copies in case everybody wants one. Y'all have copies, the audience should have copies. But even some of the speakers today said that the resolution needed more teeth. But at least it's a good start. No tax abatements, lots of other barriers were put forward by a former district judge, longtime former district judge. He came to speak. So I think our county does have the ability to block data centers, or at least throw, I think the term was, sand into the gears to delay so that when legislation catches up to it, we won't have to fight so hard against it. Anyway, I would love to see our city say no to data centers and take that out of the Belledine PD. Thank you.
Okay. So I also went to the meeting at the Commissioners Court, and people were sitting on the floor. It was amazing. Leanne?
Just a quick question. Who from our city represented us today at that meeting?
I was it. I didn't see anybody else there.
We were watching it by video.
Okay, so now we want to make a motion to do temporary flock cameras and work on something to keep data centers out after we've done Belledine now.
So I will say that for data centers, it is not a use right now in our zoning. So the way our zoning is written, that if it is not a use that is listed, that it's automatically by a special use permit. So it already is a special use permit. So for that to happen, that goes through, a request comes in to staff. It gets presented to Planning and Zoning Commission for their vote, and then that recommendation goes to City Council, and so that can be voted down by City Council. So there is a fail-safe in place of the fact to not allow data centers, and that is how it was written also in the Belledine development agreement.
So Belledine, we didn't have to take it out? They voted?
It's always been by a special use permit. It's not an automatic
Yeah, we
use.
didn't-
It's always
we
been
didn't
by a
vote into
special
it
use
separate.
permit.
You didn't vote that in?
No, it's always been by a special use permit. And
Okay.
it's in the document that way as well.
So Mr. Bell knows that when he was
Yes.
standing there
Yes, ma'am.
talking to me about that.
Yes, ma'am.
So can we petition Robert Bell to exclusively remove that option in the SUP?
You could make that request for an amendment.
And then he could turn that down. It's his right, it's his property now,
Mm-hmm.
so, okay, so
But-
we don't know how that's going to go.
But also, can we instruct staff to create an ordinance about water usage?
Yes.
That's what I would like as well. And then also on the flock cameras.
Yes.
That it's also by a special use permit.
I would defer
On
that to.
Yeah, we'll work with legal
To
on
Judy
that.
as well, just because she and I have had a conversation about the flock cameras.
So can I ask, do you have jurisdiction on the freeway, or is that DPS?
We do.
You do? Okay. That's
Okay, so what do you have, a motion?
How do we structure that kind of motion? Because,
You're going to give direction.
okay. So I'll make a motion to instruct staff to create a water usage ordinance for data centers. Also instruct staff to create an ordinance outlining flock cameras or anything else related to it, which I think they call the automatic license plate readers, ALRs.
They're LPRs.
LPRs, sorry. Only allowed as a special use permit within our city limits.
And are we instructing staff to work with Robert Bell as far as petitioning him to take?
I'm sorry, and have authorized staff to work with the Bell property to remove the words data center from the plan development agreement.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, I believe you said water usage as related to data centers, but should it be water usage to all businesses in general? That could be, we want to do
Water park.
slip and slide, yeah, a water park or a high-volume truck wash or anything of that nature.
This is, we're outside we finished the motion. I guess we need a second before we have discussion, correct?
Well, I mean,
Just asking for clarification on your motion. if
yeah,
that was what you-
if you want to negate something, that's fine, but the agenda item is about the two things.
Okay.
So now we're
So
kind of muddying the
clarification
water.
on the water usage to, I guess, understand how much water data centers use.
There you go.
And create a ordinance that restricts businesses of that type or industries of that type, water usage from being allowed in Willow Park.
Okay, do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor? There you go.
Good job,
Okay.
Barry.
So number 13, that one's going to be tabled also?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to table item 13 until our next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Okay. Second, who?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, moving on. Number 14 is for discussion action to approve an interlocal agreement and addendum with Parker County for street repairs and improvements in Precinct 4. So I requested this one. I requested this item, hoping a decision can be made to fix some of our terrible roads in Laguna Vista. We received a presentation from Houston Wingard at our last meeting. The county recommended asphalt chip seal repairs on these roads, which requires hot weather, and I'd like to get on the county's summer schedule as soon as possible. I provided 2 documents on this item, a blank interlocal agreement to approve renewal with the county, the ILA, approved last year, expired in April. A document titled Exhibit A for council to select and approve specific roads in Laguna Vista that can be fixed for a total of $500,000 from the general fund reserves, and Jake told us this amount is doable. And if we can carve out another $200,000 from the line items in the current budget, that would total $700,000. Exhibit A provides the basis for addendum number 1 to the renewed ILA. So on discussion, the streets in Laguna Vista, they shouldn't have to wait. Assumptions because the push for that project is the water line on Squaw Creek, not the road. The road improvements can be made by the county, which is what they do. So the city does not do that, but Parker County does. And we have 2 people that asked to speak. One is Houston Wingard on number 14. I'm good. You're good? Okay. Marcy Galley, did you want to talk on 14? He's thinking. Sure. Okay.
Marcy Galley, 500 Squaw Creek Road. My hesitation for coming to speak on this item is because I really don't think y'all care. I really don't. I don't think you care to fix our worst roads. And these roads have been bad. You know, it was painful having to watch the May 12th meeting, just from all the disrespect that was flying back and forth when this item was discussed last time. Houston Wingard and I have tried our best to bring this council the information from the county, who does really good work to improve our roads, and we are not a rich city. We can't just pull COs and GOs. I mean, we can, sure, give the voters a vote on the GO, general obligation bond. Come up with a plan. But by and large, the county could fix our worst roads very easily, and it wouldn't cost millions of dollars. We can't afford a ton of, new money to fix the roads and wait any longer. Why are the people on Chaparral still driving on a half deteriorated road? Why are the people on Ridge? Same story. and so many other roads in El Chico and Laguna Vista. Those are truly the worst roads to drive on. So I think a great step in showing that y'all actually care would be to renew the ILA, because the one from last year expired in April. You could do an addendum tonight. You have, I'm assuming that you've had the information. You have had all of the county numbers on El Chico roads and Laguna Vista Road improvement figures since the packet was uploaded. It's up to you guys. And yes, we do have the money to fix some of the roads without going into more debt. So I hope y'all will choose to do the right thing. It is not a bad thing for citizens to be involved. I am perfectly able to go and sit down with my Precinct 4 commissioner and discuss things that I know he's capable of helping us out with. Government gets its power from the citizens. Lots of people that spoke today, earlier this morning, said, citizens are the boss. We're at the top of the org chart. Lots of comments like that. But I don't feel that this is the way this city functions. I feel like citizens are criticized when we try to be proactive and get some of the worst roads fixed. And our worst roads should not be held hostage by Squaw Creek because the water line move, relocation is paramount. Do the water line then. Issue a revenue bond. Fix the water. Then have the county come in and improve Squaw Creek Road, because they can. I asked them, each of y'all should do the same. Fix our roads, guys. Okay, don't wait on it. You don't need to. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have more discussion?
Yes, how is this going to be funded?
How is it going to be funded? I think Jake said that, didn't he? That we can do it from the general fund? That's what he said when he came up in front of us.
He did not say that. He
What did he
said
say?
if we pull it from our reserves, we would then be under our 120-day state obligation of keeping that money in there.
Yes, I mean, that's what we're talking about.
So our most recent audit does say that unallocated funds represent like $3.9 million. That money is sitting in general fund. I think we have a CD, we have a Techstar account with over $1 million in it. Other funds, I think, that make up that figure are probably the 1.3 from our drainage fund and 450,000 from solid waste that's just been sitting there. And I get that those are allocated for certain things, but they're not restricted. So they aren't listed in the accounts that are restricted in the audit. And yes, Jake did say we could go $400 to $500 and be A-OK. That $3.9 million represents 243 days of operating cash flow. And you thought we had a 6-month fund floor, which it's only 120 days. And no, there is no state law that requires that we have any reserves. So there's that. Jake said so. If you're not going to believe Jake, I don't know what to tell you. But I know that council has probably 98,000 in discretionary funds, because y'all allocated 2,000 to TCA or 2,500. We have 45,000 in the road budget. Guys, we don't take care of our worst roads. Anyway, that's the information that I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have a motion to go ahead and renew our interlocal agreement?
I had a little more discussion. Laguna Vista, how did we come to, was that using our pavement study that we did? Were those some of the worst roads according to it?
Yes, I looked at where it was red.
Okay.
Our pavement study.
Okay. That's what I'm asking on that.
Okay.
And then, based on, this may be more for you, but based on conversations with the county, what does the timeline look like? How much capacity can they handle? And everything that we've been presented tonight, is this?
Well, they did 13 roads last year. Yes. Right, Houston? Yes, they did. Yeah. So they can do it, yeah.
The county can't do that.
Yeah.
Was that for the entire county? That was for our city? That was? For our city. Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
I think Councilman Crummell is asking if we did this, how would it be on the Precinct 4's schedule?
Yes, that was more the point of it, is how do we get?
Thank you, Chase.
I have spoken to the county several times over the last 3 months, and they were able to do 13 roads last year because of their schedule.
Right.
They had gaps in their schedule. Their schedule for this year is not as giving. And the conversations I have had with Dion, he didn't give me a specific number, but it's going to take a full 12 to 14 months to complete that project, depending on what roads they are assigned.
So we'd start with the ones that need the heat of our summer.
Yeah, the chip seal would be initially first.
Good way, okay.
But, yeah, but their schedule is not as giving as it was last year.
But we could start, if we do the agreement, that's what we're lacking, right?
I mean, I have not had that conversation. I have not had their specific schedule, but the conversations that I have had, their schedule is not as lenient as it was last year.
But the priority is to get the interlocal agreement so we can at least
When
start
we're
working
ready
on the
for it.
schedule?
Yeah,
I mean,
when we're ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the interlocal, that's y'all's, but the county, like I said, the county, because they're just now kicking off their road season. I mean,
Right.
Precinct 4 has tons of their own roads that they have to keep and maintain and do. We are basically just fit in as needed, or
Okay.
as they can accommodate. We can't dictate their schedule for them.
Right, but that gets us started. Tandy?
It's really hard to hear when people are talking over one another. So Mayor Palmer and Tony, could y'all say separately what you were saying? Because you were talking over Mayor Palmer. I couldn't hear either one of you.
So whenever we're ready for the interlocal agreement, whenever we have that schedule ready to know what streets can be done, then staff will go ahead and make those recommendations as to when that's ready to bring forward. So I'll repeat what I said at the last meeting. It's been a month ago. I know there's people here that weren't here last time. We have a capital improvements project that we are working on right now, so we are renewing. And that will be a 5-year project, and part of that is our roads. So we base that information on engineering as well as the pavement study that was done. And so those roads are labeled by the worst versus the best for those. And so that system is actually allocated by not just the way they look, but the actual components and the whole infrastructure is how the road was built. And so it's based on more than just looks. I know that it looks like the worst roads should be done the first. They may only look that way if you don't fix the infrastructure, you're not fixing anything. So chip sealing roads that don't have a firm base on them, and I'll have Public Works and Chase weigh into that, but it's not really doing anything. So they're just going to break back down. So we have to be methodical about this, or we're just throwing money at money. So I know that it looks that way, and it looks like we're not doing anything. That's not true at all. Staff is working on the CIP, and we are working on trying to get a couple of those roads that Chase has already spoken to the county about, already gotten pricing. We're looking for gaps, like he was talking about, as far as their project is concerned, as to when they can fit them in, but it will not be 15 roads. That's not what they do. They do roads in the county. They don't do the city roads. Our Public Works does our city roads. So we may be able to do something with them if we can piggyback on and we can get something done a little less expensive, or when they're already in that area, but that's not exactly how this works, so.
Since you mentioned that you follow the CIP, you mentioned
Yes.
that last meeting, and you're saying that
Yes.
this meeting, the roads that have already been repaired, you are not following the CIP. You're jumping around. You're not
This-
going from the worst.
The CIP is being created now, so we've already finished the next 5 years is being developed right now.
But you stated that you're following the CIP.
We
But
will-
it's current right now for 20, what is it, 2022?
And that, yes, that CIP should be done by the end of the summer, so.
You've stated several times that you're following it,
Mhm.
but there are roads that were repaired and fixed and already done
Mhm.
that are not identified as the worst roads on that CIP.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
So you're not following it. Since you're going out.
The information that I'm giving with the engineer of what the council passed for that contract is to redo the capital improvement project along with the comprehensive plan. That's what we are working on.
The other thing to look at here on this is it's not just paving. We can make it look pretty. We can make it look like a usable road. The problem is that the studies that we've done, if we keep just throwing money at it, they'll break down year over year again. Like Mr. Green was saying about the big trucks driving down Vista. If that was the worst road at the time and y'all were okay with chip sealing and we pay $500,000 to chip seal the road, the next year that truck drives down the road, it's going to tear it up again. Then we're throwing another $500,000 at it to fix it. That's the scenario that we're looking at. So it's not just a matter of what the road looks like, how it's drivable and everything else. It's what's underneath it, the structure that's underneath it. Can we chip seal it? That'd be fine. Just like what we did earlier this past summer when we did all the blacktop. Chase, you'll have to correct me on all the roads we did that. But it was identified that that was the best and easy fix because of the structure of the road underneath. It's when we've done the engineering and we look at it, and yes, these roads are bad, especially in Laguna Vista, but it's not just a matter of paving the road and fixing it. We've got to go under the substructure, fix the substructure, then we can pave it.
Marcy?
Yeah.
I understand that, and I'm not a road engineer, but I do know that we have not followed our CIP in this city, and I know that the county went and looked at the roads, and he suggested the chip seal. I know that HMAC was done on Willowwood and Willow Springs last year. And a lot of those people that live on those roads said, why did they do this to my road? It's not even that bad. So I understand that there are different types of fixes for the roads. Yes. I am simply asking for you guys to figure out what we can do. Can we do it with $500,000? Can we do it with $700,000?
No.
And just do something this summer to fix some of our worst roads, okay? And by the way, Kingsgate has a terrible drainage area. I don't believe that area is actually on our 2022 CIP for drainage, okay? That brand-new road is already starting to look like an alligator type of area, right where that bad drainage comes across. So, yes, I looked at that, and HMAC is the more expensive way to go. It's supposed to be longer lasting, but if you don't take care of the drainage that's causing the road to crumble apart, it's just going to do it again.
Right.
I do understand that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, please quit telling everybody that we're following our CIP, all of them, any of them, because we haven't since I served 10 years ago. All right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So is anyone going to make a motion about at least starting, going back to our interlocal agreement and updating it, putting it on there?
How much money are you requesting? We got to know that.
That's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about the 500,000 And that if we can do the line item, that's fine, but do something is what I think makes sense for the citizens, instead of just pushing it off.
I don't have a line item, though, that dictates 500,000. You've got two documents here that are over 700,000.
I've got 1.4 million and some change.
Yeah.
I think a start would be 500,000. I think starting would be good. It looks like on your face you don't want to do it at all.
No.
Right? Okay.
I'm just telling you is I don't see 500,000 on here. I see 1.4 million and some change.
The request is to start with 500,000. We're sitting here talking about it, and if our county commissioner will start working on it, as you're telling us that we can't do all of them, we can't be aggressive like we were last year, and Chase is telling us that, they don't have a schedule, but I'm asking for the citizens to start doing something about the roads. Is there a motion, or we just move on? I don't get a motion, I don't vote, so if you're not going to make a motion, we just have to move on.
I think it is just a issue of clarity, as we do have two different exhibits, one for 707,000 and another for 705,000. And so understanding where that 500,000 number is coming from, how then are we selecting from these which get the allocation of the 500,000 first, or is this?
Timing.
I think you rely on the commissioner who was kind of directing that.
We're the ones working with the county on what
Right,
roads
we're
are.
working with the commissioner, but if you don't want to do that, then we'll just move on.
Staff is already working with the county. That's what I keep saying, is that we're already working on it, but we're trying to find the time that they have so that we can get those roads scheduled. I've said last time and this time that there were 2 roads that Chase has already been working on with the county, and that Michelle is working on to try to find funding for those things. We cannot do 15 roads. The county cannot do 15 roads.
I don't think I just asked for that.
They can
Marcy?
do 3, they can do 3 to, we can do 3 to 5 roads is all
Okay.
that the county can handle in the summer for us, and they do not have that available right now
Okay,
for
Tony,
us.
thank you. Marcy?
Well, Mayor, I think we've exceeded our time on public comment. So are you simply asking a question?
For
to the
clarification,
citizen?
I guess.
What clarification?
I don't know, because you're not letting her talk.
She's spoken 3 times. The point is, the staff is already working on this.
Okay, so we're not going to renew it, we're not going to do anything. If we're not, then let's just move on. Because you've got Andy, you're going to have Andy is waiting for us too, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, but we need the body to make that decision. So if it's going to be tabled, we need the body to vote and table it.
Okay, so somebody have a motion to table it?
Or make a motion that you no longer want to discuss this item because the interlocal, we just need the body to weigh in one way or another. Or the body can make a motion that they're not interested in pursuing.
So approving the ILA doesn't deal with the addendum, that's all I was gonna say. It would be a good faith effort to just approve the blank ILA to renew the ILA with the county.
Why would we do
Come
that?
back and do the addendum number 1 later on.
So does that sound like a motion to direct your city manager to continue negotiations that she's already in with the county on a new interlocal?
Is that redundancy?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to continue negotiations with Parker County for road improvements and approving an ILA.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay, we have all in favor. Okay, so we'll address that later. Item 15 is discussion action regarding city employee compensation plan. I put this in there. I did not ask for city employee compensation plan. What I asked for last time, and I'm still asking for, is the police department. And that, right now, is what I think we need to be working on. I did talk to Interim Chief Hamilton, and he said that he's waiting for other cities to call him back because the report that we had before was from our previous Chief Lacey. So what Interim Chief Hamilton is working on is verifying those amounts of how much all the cities around us are getting paid, which when our Chief Lacey gave it to us, we're about 10,000 under. And that's my concern. I think that the safety of our citizens is paramount. So since he could not get the reports, he couldn't get the callbacks from the other cities for verification, we're pretty much just going to wait on that. And I'm guessing I can ask to table this since we don't have a report.
Mayor Palmer, the description that was on there was regarding the employee compensation plan. So it was the steps necessary to create a city employee compensation plan. Upon the advice of our city attorney, that we should study all the positions. If we take a study just for one department versus all of the departments, then us taking funds away from possibly another department, then you're taking money away from a need that may come up in another area. So
So that would be good to have a discussion with the attorney on that. He did not talk to me about that. I don't know a thing about what you're talking about. I think that's important that the attorney coordinate that. So
the study for all the positions for council to choose which cities to compare. And so there are several companies that can actually do this for us. And with direction, we can start to get a study done for that for the entire city staff. And so the cities around us essentially would be the ones that our staff would be looking to go to. So it would be within a 45-minute radius of us. And council can choose those, or staff can choose those as far as the cities around in order to get that study from. So that it's not just police, that it would be for our entire city staff.
do you have a cost on this study?
I do not. I have to get authorization to do the study, so to get that information. Also, I have information. So Councilmember Wright wasn't able to be here, but he gave me an item to read on this on his behalf. As part of the upcoming budget cycle, we should look at the city compensation as a whole, not singling out a single department, and ensure that we are competitive with our peer municipalities. It is more expensive to lose and retain employees than it is to retain them. I'm 100% for a competitive salary increase for our police officers as well as the rest of our city staff. But a simple across-the-board dollar value isn't necessarily the right answer. I advocate for the comprehensive salary study, reviewing the salary ranges for peer cities at equivalent job descriptions, and building a competitive compensation package, not just salary, but insurance and benefits as well. This study needs to be concluded before the next budget cycle so the recommendations can be included and implemented in the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay, so the request is to make a motion that now we're going to do a study for everyone.
Correct.
Is there a motion on that?
I would make a motion that we reach out and do the study for entire staff, city staff.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor? There you go. Okay, we've got 16. This one, we have several people that are going to talk on this. We're going to take this to executive session also. It's to get an update from City Attorney Fritz Post and consider approval of an ordinance calling for the special election for November 3rd, 2026 for the purpose of consideration of approval of a home rule charter. We have some issues on that. I asked for those in detail, and the attorneys do not want to give me those, and they don't want me to talk about that. So next, we have two people, I think, that asked to speak on this item, and then we'll go to executive session.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm a little confused, so catch me up. Item 16 is on the regular agenda?
It is.
Okay. So in order to go to executive session, we need the body to determine, or did something happen?
Fritz wants to go to executive.
I requested, Given the very specific and pointed legal advice we're going to be discussing, and I think it's allowed in the agenda.
Can you speak up, Fritz? We can't hear you.
It's allowed under the language in the agenda. You can go into executive session on any posted agenda item, and one of the reasons is to seek legal advice from the city attorney. And of course, as I suggested earlier, Mayor, if you want to go ahead and let the citizens speak on this topic, we can before we adjourn to executive session, so we have the benefit of their comments.
Okay. You okay with them to speak?
For clarification, real quick, we're going to hear public comment. We'll go to executive specifically for 16, come back out of executive to then discuss, or we then, okay, that's why I'm making sure we'll then handle all items in executive and then
Yeah, it doesn't
come back.
make sense.
Yes.
I agree.
But once
I
we
just
go
wanted to
in-
make sure that based on the nature of how it was being presented, that was not the case.
Okay, so we have two people. Libby Affelblack wants to come and talk about 16.
Hi, Libby Afterback, 421 Big Creek Road. This is just a housekeeping thing as I was reading through the draft. And once again, in the section 4, where it has the voting precincts that are going to be voting on this Home Rule Commission, they leave out my precinct. And we did it before, and I thought Gene fixed it, but I see in your document, precinct 450, there's about 50, 60 homes in that little part of Willow Park. And I don't want to go to the polls and discover that I can't vote on it because they didn't get put, my precinct isn't considered there. So just fix that, please. That's all I have to say. Whether, I don't know whether it's going to be voted on or not, but 450, part of 450 is in Willow Park. It's the little area across the interstate from the stove shop and west of Farm Road 5. There's a big
behind
right
Elizabeth's.
You know where it is.
Yeah.
Behind the Christ Chapel Church.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Carol Bracken wants to talk about 16 before we go to executive.
Good evening. Carol Bracken. My husband and I live at 73 Crown Road, and we've been there for almost 30 years. I've come before this body a couple of times in the last few months to ask you about the status of the Home Rule Charter that was presented to this council back on February 10th. At that time, as we all recall, members of the council raised what you characterized as legal concerns about the legality and sufficiency of the document, and as a result of that, you tabled its consideration. To my knowledge, there's been no information given to the public since that time about the status of those concerns or the plans this council might have to advance the charter onto the ballot, and also how the council plans to educate the public of Willow Park, the citizens, the voters, about what's in that charter. I was extremely glad to see that this had been placed on the agenda for tonight. I think it's high time for that to be done. I assume that when you're going to, in executive session, you'll be speaking with Fritz about, or Ms. Almazri, I don't know, about the status of these concerns that were raised. I would like to suggest that when you come to a resolution on those concerns, that you come out and you give a full accounting to the citizens about the status of those concerns. Were they legitimate? Were they founded? Are there changes that need to be made in the document? If there were, how do you plan to do that, since you've also dissolved the Home Rule Commission? And I'm extremely interested to know how you plan to educate the public about this. We on the commission had a plan for having town hall meetings where we would be available to talk to citizens and make ourselves available to answer questions. We had suggested and requested that y'all come and visit us at those meetings, and several of you did on certain occasions. And we planned a stepped-up program once we got a little closer to the election. November will be here before you know it, and I sincerely hope that you, number one, you make a report to the citizens about the status of those concerns. And frankly, if you found that they were unfounded, you need to make that clear, because you created doubt in the minds of people, and they deserve to know what attorneys had to say about it. I know what the attorney said during the course of our meetings, but all of our citizens weren't at those meetings, and they need to know. And I sincerely hope that to the extent that those were not well-founded, that frankly you give some consideration to issuing an apology to the members of the Home Rule Commission, because it made it sound like we were violating the Open Meetings Act. And that's not something that any of the 15 of us took lightly. So thank you very much for finally bringing this up in your executive session. And again, I ask that you please let all of us know when it's over with what the status of those concerns were, how you plan to move this forward, and more importantly, how you plan to educate the people in this city as to what this is. I encourage you to reach out to the members of the commission. I think we would all be delighted to be of any assistance possible in helping you make that education effort for our fellow citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, in accordance with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Chapter D, the City Council will recess into executive session. I just read 16, so I won't read that one again. 17, Section 551.071, consultation with City Attorney, City of Aledo, Texas, and the City of Fort Worth, Texas versus the City of Willow Park, Texas. Cause number CV26-0175 in Parker County District Court, 43rd District, 18, Section 551.071, consultation with Attorney City of Willow Park versus Half and Associates, 19, Section 551.071, consultation with City Attorney, Section 551.087, economic development negotiations with BPO Real Estate LLC, 20, Section 551.071, consultation with City Attorney, Section 551.074, personnel matters, negotiations of employment contract for City Manager Tony Fisher. 21, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Section 551.074, personnel matters, deliberate the appointment, employment, and evaluation of a public officer or employee, interim City Manager Michelle Gilker. The time now is 8:48. We'll now recess into closed session. Thank you. Okay, we're going to resume. We're going to resume for one item. 17, Section 551.071, consultation with City Attorney, City of Aledo, Texas, and City of Fort Worth, Texas versus the City of Willow Park. That's us too. Cause number CV26-0175 in Parker County District Court, 43rd District. So I think, Scott, you want to talk about something? Go
No,
right
no
ahead.
talk. I have a motion to exclude the mayor in the
Yep.
consultation of City Attorney, City of Aledo, Texas, and City of Fort Worth, Texas versus the City of Willow Park, Texas, cause number CV26-0175 in Parker County District Court, 43rd District.
Okay, so they're going to make a motion here to exclude me from this, believe it or not. My name is on the litigation, but let's do it. So somebody wants to make a motion, which is what you just did. Is that right, Scott Smith?
I did.
Okay, we have a second? Go ahead.
Second.
There you go. All in favor? Okay, so they're going to throw me out of this one session.
Do we need to retire back?
So y'all going to go 17? Okay, we're going to reconvene into open session in accordance with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The City Council will reconvene into regular session to consider action, if any, on the matters discussed in executive session. Time now, believe it or not, is 11:30 at night. All right, the council would like to have discussions about actions.
Item 16, I'd like to table that to the next meeting, because that was still open.
Second.
All in favor? Okay,
Item 17, I have a motion, Madam Mayor.
okay, what's your motion?
I would like to make a motion to invite the City Council of Aledo to have a joint city council meeting within the next 14 days at a neutral site to seek resolution of the issues in the pending boundary dispute case, and for the City Council of Aledo to publicly vote at a city council meeting to accept or reject this invitation to seek resolution.
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay, Scott's making a second. All in favor? Okay, anything else?
Yes. On item 20, I'd like to make a motion to direct the city attorney to draft and revise an agreement for employment with Tony Fisher as city manager with the terms as discussed in executive session, and authorize the mayor to execute that agreement.
And do we have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, anything else?
Oh, 21? Do we need to do 21?
No action.
No action. Okay.
No action.
We're good.
Okay, so now we're going to 22, city manager comments. Do you have anything?
I would like
Tony?
to thank council and mayor for their, for faith in me, and I appreciate everything, and I look forward to serving the city and its residents and all of you for a long time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, 23, city council mayor comments, response, reaction from the meeting tonight. And Scott Smith wants to talk about his coffee.
Yeah, so on June 5th at 8:30 in the morning, we had, I think it was 17 residents. Buddy and I were in attendance. We had Tony, Michelle stepped in, things like that. It was just a fantastic 1 hour of answering questions, just really just connecting with our community and everything else like that. My goal is to offer that, based on timing, to offer that the first Friday of every month. I'll open it up to council as well to join me. We can have obviously up to 2 in there. I don't want this just to be a me thing, but would love to have us being able to rotate if time allows. So.
As long as you don't have too many there, right?
Right.
Okay.
I have a comment, Madam Mayor. I want to thank ESD1 for their incredible work on June 2nd during the severe thunderstorm that we had. They were able to put out a pasture fire within minutes after it striking. And I want to give a shout out to Lieutenant Junker, Engineer Quintero, and Firefighter Sides. Thank you very much for what y'all do.
Perfect.
Okay, so item 24, again, Willow Spark event, July 4th in the district. They wanted me to mention that again.
And the billboards are up if you don't remember.
Okay, perfect. All right, item 25, future agenda items requested by the mayor, city council, or staff. Do y'all have something? Okay, I do. So I want to review the legal costs that we've been having with Messer and Fort, as well as Harris, Finley, and Bogle, who are representing us on the Half and Associates lawsuit. So far in 5 months, what it looked like to me is we are $17,000 over our $150,000 budget. Only 5 months into our 12 months. I have talked to Andy about that, and I think he's 3 months behind in his billing, so he's working on that. So hopefully by the next meeting, we can talk about where we are with our expenses for our budget and trying to plan on what we're doing with our legal fees for that. Having said that, would anybody like to motion to adjourn and go home?
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much for everyone being here. They're gone.